All right, we're here to talk about eye gazing today and what that means and how it went for me after I tried it for a week straight. I heard about eye gazing came back to me about a couple months ago when I was working at a camp, and it was an exercise that was tried purposefully during camp to eye gaze into other people's eyes. It's also just been very keen on my awareness lately how much I make eye contact with people, and especially at that camp, everybody would just held such beautiful eye contact all the time. And so I've just been, after that, I came home and started going through this crazy life transition, and one night, was a little stony at home by myself, and I was just looked in the mirror and stared at myself for a while, and it felt so awkward and weird that I was like, whoa, like I could feel how important it was to really show up for myself and to see myself in that way. So I kind of decided to try it, and a lot of you out there in my community kept asking, like, what is this? What does it mean? How are you doing it? And I was like, well, what if I tried it? Like, because I was just doing it here and there. I was like, what if I tried it for a week straight? Would you be interested in knowing how it went? You said yes. So because I don't really know anything about eye gazing, all I really knew is that you look into somebody's eyes. We don't live in a culture that really honors seeing people and honoring ourselves that thoroughly. We don't make eye contact. We live in such a busy, rushing society and culture at large in the world today. So that's all I knew, is that it was a connection mechanism, and that you experience crazy things and you feel extremely vulnerable when you do that. And I've only ever heard of doing it with other people, so this catching myself in the mirror and doing it, I was like, well. A quick Google search says that eye gazing is just a powerful exercise for bonding and self-exploration, which I think sounds really cool. And yeah, I'll go into first let me just say exactly how it felt day to day, because I started out I've got this thing with numbers that I love, and if you're into angel numbers, then you know what's up, and if not, it's not a big deal. But I meditated for 3 minutes, or eye gazed for 3 minutes and 33 seconds for the first few days, and then I ended up going to 4 minutes and 44 seconds for the last couple days. And honestly, it just it was really awkward every day to do it, and to show up and I'd basically roll out of bed and do it in the morning light in my bathroom most mornings. And it's always like, I have some notes here, so it was really awkward at first, but then insightful to really be able to see myself as the creature, the living being that I am, that is not separate from the rest of nature. And then it's really hard to focus sometimes. My eyes always go to how dry is my skin? What kind of crusties do I have under my eyes? And that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting to see that that's my natural tendency, is to kind of scan and judge and do all these different things first. But then to come back and recognize that you're just you. And that's okay, that if your mind does that. And then because you're there and you're present, I was able to see my mind actually doing that. Okay, I'm going to do all these things first. And then continuously reminding myself to come back to my breath, to just come back to simply seeing myself, that there was nothing to analyze, to say. And, every single day I ended up leaving feeling completely calm and happy and excited. It was really cool. Very uplifting. But I realized something at the end of 1 week, that I have been doing this every morning when I roll out of bed, first thing in the morning, when, nothing else has happened in my day yet. And I kind of got curious, what would happen if I did it every night at the end of a long day, when it might be harder to look at myself in the face, especially because we all have our vices of how we like to numb out in the evenings, whether that is eating a bunch of food or watching TV or smoking marijuana, then to do all of that and be right before bed, look yourself in the eyes and really be like, hey, I see you, I accept you, I love you, whatever it is. That's really vulnerable. And so realizing that I wasn't holding that kind of space for myself makes me very curious about trying it at a different time of day. The biggest epiphany that I had, that I really feel like this made an impact for me on my life, is being able to show up for myself and holding space for myself to express my emotions and to just want to be present for myself. At one time during this week that I tried this out, I had a little trigger pop up. I was listening to some music. I was about to leave my house, and it was like I felt like I wanted to sob and cry, and then I was like, oh, like, I gotta leave, I'm not gonna do that. But then I was like, no. And I literally, it was funny, kind of came into this bubbly space where I allowed myself to do this for the first time in my life, whereas otherwise my ego would have kind of been like, you look like a crazy person, you're not gonna do that. But what I did is that I recognized that I needed to cry, and I was home alone, said out loud to myself, I was like, hey, come here. And I took myself into the bedroom here, and I stood in front of the mirror, and I was like, hey, like, it's okay to be upset, and just, like, looked myself in the eyes and breathed and reminded myself, like, it is okay to be upset. And then I talked a little bit about why I was upset and how, you know, that it's okay to be upset, it's okay to express your emotions and to feel them, and then helping myself be able to move through it as well. And it felt like a catalyst of eye gazing, that entire experience, because I caught myself in the moment, and I was able to pull myself. I was like, come here and look at yourself in the face, because you need to remember that you are here for you. And after practicing that, here I am. And I feel like there's this huge blossoming and unfolding happening, and I would be really curious to see how you start to feel if you show up for yourself in this way. And I just want to remind you, like I said, it's vulnerable. It's vulnerable to sit down and look anybody in the eyes, and to especially look yourself in the eyes, because you know yourself best, and you can't hide from anything. And that's the glory of this, getting to know yourself better, and this self-care unfolding that I myself love promoting, is that it's not hiding. Like, what you are fearful of owns you, and it's time to realize that fear is just a shadow cast from the light, and that there's nothing to be scared of. So come and sit with yourself, look yourself in the eyes, remember to keep breathing when you're doing this. That's a huge one, because our breath is the teacher that's going to get us through, that is the gateway into our calm self. So just breathing through it, and reassuring yourself, being kind to yourself, being gentle, because I can almost guarantee that you're going to look in the mirror, you're going to be terrified, it's going to feel vulnerable, and you're not going to say some very nice things. And you just need to be prepared for what's going to happen. But you're showing up because you are prepared, because you want what you know is on the other side, and that is really truly knowing yourself, knowing how to show up for yourself, knowing how to show up for others in your life, and the way that it all ripples out to the rest of life, and we can just start to begin to enjoy the human experience a little bit more. So I hope this helps you. Please let me know how it resonates. If you give it a try, be sure to let me know. You can always drop your questions, comments in the comments below, or reach out to me on Instagram. I'd love to talk.